He was the greatest warrior of the ancient world, feared by men, envied by gods, born of a goddess yet doomed to die young. This is the story of Achilles. Achilles was no ordinary man. His mother Thetis was a sea goddess. Wanting to make her son immortal, she dipped him in the River Styx, whose waters granted invincibility. But the heel she held him by never touched the water. That small, vulnerable spot would one day become his downfall. From a young age, Achilles was different. Faster than any boy his age, stronger than the fiercest men. He was trained by the centaur Chiron, who taught him how to fight, how to survive, and how to lead. By the time he reached manhood, his name already echoed across the lands. But the world was changing. In the east, a great war was brewing. Paris of Troy had stolen Helen, the queen of Sparta. Enraged, the Greeks launched 1,000 ships, and at the heart of their vengeance stood one man, Achilles. But Achilles didn't want to fight. He knew something the others didn't. A prophecy had told him. If he joined the war, he would die young, but his name would live forever. If he stayed home, he'd live a long, quiet life, forgotten by history. Immortality or peace? He chose immortality. When Achilles arrived on the shores of Troy, everything changed. No warrior could stand against him. He cut through armies like a god of war, covered in bronze and fury. He was unstoppable, untouchable. The Trojans feared just hearing his name. But Achilles wasn't just a weapon, he was a man. And men are driven by pride, by loyalty, and by rage. At one point in the war, Achilles was dishonored by the Greek leader Agamemnon, who took away a woman Achilles loved. Outraged, Achilles refused to fight. The Greeks began to lose ground. Morale broke. The Trojans pushed harder. Desperate, Achilles' closest friend, some say lover, Patroclus put on Achilles' armor and led the Myrmidons into battle. He fought bravely, but he wasn't Achilles. And Hector, prince of Troy, killed him. When Achilles learned of Patroclus' death, something inside him snapped. He screamed to the heavens. His grief turned into rage. He returned to the battlefield not as a soldier, but as vengeance itself. He hunted Hector. And when they met outside the gates of Troy, it wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Achilles killed Hector and then dragged his body around the walls of Troy for days. He wanted the world to feel his pain, but even gods have limits. One night, King Priam of Troy, Hector's father, snuck into the Greek camp. He knelt before Achilles and begged for his son's body. Achilles, moved by the old man's courage and grief, returned Hector's body and allowed a truce for the funeral. It was the first time in years Achilles looked human. But fate wasn't done with him. Not long after, during a battle near the gates of Troy, a prince named Paris, not a warrior but an archer, fired an arrow. Guided by Apollo himself, the arrow struck Achilles in the one place he was vulnerable, his heel. The great warrior fell. His death shook both armies. The Greeks mourned their champion. The Trojans feared what would come next. And though his body died on that battlefield, his name, Achilles, lived on. They say true immortality is to be remembered. Achilles chose glory and he got it. Even now, thousands of years later, we still speak his name. Achilles, the invincible warrior, the man who defied fate until fate struck back.